I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Yes, Bill. Sometimes it does suck.
How much money did you pay to use that? How much money did you pay to use that?
I think it's public domain.
It's not copyrighted. Well,
no, I think if Bill O'Reilly loses his shit, it is public domain.
Well, welcome back.
If not, he can sue me.
Welcome back to another Doctales with Cocktails. Wednesday hump day, Monday on the replay. And guess what? We're back in the studio. We are back on track after a lot of adventures.
We're back in the high life again, to quote Steve Winwood.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really a high life, more like low life. Well, it's up and down life. Anyway.
Well, it's real life.
If you're watching, you can see we're in our studio. We've been having some adventures, which we'll get to. But I'm going to give you the teaser for what's up on the show today, since Tim's got lots planned, lots on his mind, and he needs to empty that into the big abyss of the World Wide Web. We are talking about how water kills.
You mean drowning?
How stingrays injure. And
I like stingrays. I have one in my garage.
How the new variant of the big C is probably nothing. So,
yeah. Speaking of experience, because she just had the C again like a week ago.
So let's start off with that. We're happy to have you guys back.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be back because I was getting a little jealous when I watched the last episode with, I was going to say Michelle. It was Mitchell. Not Michelle. That's someone different.
No, that would.
We will leave it there.
That would be the former president's wife.
We will leave it there. Mitchell, thanks for stepping in for me. Always wanted to be a blonde, so I live vicariously through you.
Yes, and she had such a beautiful beard.
Yeah, I'm not really happy about mine.
It was delightful.
Anyway, so yeah, we've been traveling a lot, and we're up in Canada. And honestly, we didn't post a lot of social posts.
Oh, those are coming.
Well, we did a little bit of video, but we didn't post a lot of pictures on our stories on our Instagram and stuff, stuff. Because you know why? Because the photo taker here, the producer of all the reels on Instagram and Facebook, was out for the count. Should I share that little tidbit? I think people knew I was sick. You said I was sick. Well, I got the big.
You got the COVID.
I got the little COVID.
Well, you got something. You got something, and then a COVID test turned positive. So if you believe all of that, she got the COVID. Otherwise, she had what would be more normally known as a cold.
Yeah, actually, I had the sore throat. I was stuffy, but I think I used 2 tissues. But I was so exhausted. I slept and slept, and I couldn't budge, and I felt like I had mono.
And then you were better.
And I was better. That I lasted 3.5 days. Then I rallied. I kind of got out a little bit, did some things. I just felt fatigued. And then I got worse again for 2 days. And then that was it. So whatever I had just made me tired. And big deal. So it is going around. We're going to get to that in a little bit and talk about the new variant and what it means. But honestly, I've started to laugh when I've been telling people that I tested positive. That's what I had. And their eyes kind of go, oh, what happened? And I just think, what happened to the days 5-7 years ago when we're like, well, I got a cold, but we would just say, we wouldn't say I got a coronavirus, because we didn't know better.
Well, yeah, because it might have been parainfluenza or rhinovirus or one of the other 19 gazillion viruses that we don't give a shit about.
We've been having coronaviruses forever, but nobody seems to give 2 shits.
That's exactly right. Until I am the science told us that we need to be scared.
And now it's not a brave new world. It's a freaked out world.
No,
I'm just here to tell you it's okay to have a cold.
It's okay to have a cold. And if you get short of breath, then go to the doctor and deal with it. But otherwise, whatever. I'm so done. It's ridiculous. Let's talk about other ways to die.
Let's.
Okay, I'm going to set this in here. I'm going to do my little producer-y stuff. Oops, I'm going to do that. There, look at that. That works.
It's just the New York Post.
Yes. which is quite.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yes, it's fun. It has some of the best headlines ever. And so, mom of two dies from drinking too much water after feeling dehydrated.
On a family trip.
Yes, it was very hot out, and I don't know what feeling dehydrated feels like other than thirsty, which would be helpful.
Wait a minute. I'm going to jump in here and interrupt you. So, I just told you a few minutes, an hour ago, that I wasn't feeling great. And not everybody has thirst mechanisms that are the same.
Oh, give me a frickin' break.
It's true. It's true. So get this. I've been peeing. I haven't been staying up on my fluids. I felt kind of weird. I got this funky headache. And then I go to the bathroom for the first time in 8 hours and notice I'm peeing iced tea colored urine. And I'm like, oh, I probably need to drink more. So no, not all of us get super thirsty.
No, but
I'm just
human beings have a very highly evolved thirst mechanism, or else we'd be dead because we live in deserts and jungles.
Anyway.
So you might not have been optimally hydrated, but you're not like actually really dehydrated. So it's just, yeah, I get it. You can feel a little bit better if you push your water a little bit, but you can also push it too quickly. And I was actually floored because what it looks like happened to this poor woman, which is a terrible case. It's absolutely tragic. It's horrific. She probably drank a whole bunch of water really fast. And it's crazy because I read what can give you hyponatremia, which is
low sodium.
Low sodium, which is what kills people in water intoxication, is you can get hyponatremic from drinking 750 mLs of water in an hour, which is wild. So 750 mLs for people that understand alcohol more is a fifth. That's a liter.
Yeah, keep going.
So 750 mils in an hour, not 750 mils of Jack Daniels, 750 mils of water in an hour. So that's just under a liter. And I'm like, I've drank a liter in like 20 minutes before if you're really thirsty. And you sit there and you go, wow, that's really crazy. So, or 18 liters in a day. And I'm like, yeah, 18 liters in a day would be a problem. So in an otherwise healthy person, which is we don't have all of the data in this poor individual, you drink too much water very quickly, and you can become so profoundly hyponatremic that it kills you. Now, it doesn't just kill you because you just drank a liter of water in half an hour. That's not what happens. You have to have a setup for this. So the setup is either you have kidneys that aren't functioning completely correctly, or more correctly, you actually lost a ton of sodium before this. So as in sweating. So the setup for hyponatremia is sweating like crazy or pooping out a ton of sodium in diarrhea and then replacing it with free water. That is a problem. So in this case, she was really hot.
Acid-base balance, which we won't get into.
Yeah, she was. Let's do that. Let's do acid-base balance and how you fix that with a dialysis machine. No. That would be great. We'll have 0 listeners. So I can't do it. I'm like, nephrologists are geniuses. So, anyways, you lose a ton of sodium, and then you replace it with sodium poor water, free water, just regular fresh water. And that accelerates the hyponatremia to a point where it can be dangerous. So that is why when they have all of these free water stations at marathons and triathlons and whatnot, these guys end the race because they think that they're always dehydrated and they have to pound extra water, even if they're not thirsty. And they're drinking free water and not replacing the sodium. They've lost a ton of sodium because it's hot, because they're exercising. They replace it with free water. Boom, hyponatremia. To just drink water without losing sodium ahead of time to get this dangerous level would be really difficult.
I think something was going on.
Yeah, well, the other one that complicates this is people get a headache because they are marginally dehydrated. They're out drinking. They're out in the sun. They're sweating. They're peeing a fair bit because they had a couple drinks. And then they take ibuprofen for their headache, and they're modestly dehydrated, and the ibuprofen starts to frag their kidneys. And then they replace it with free water because now they're really thirsty. Ergo, that sucks.
Yes, metabolized by the kidneys. The NSAIDs are.
They did have a woman die in the Wii contest several years ago when
The
they were
Wii contest.
they're
Like
giving
as in
away
peeing,
a
Wii?
Nintendo Wii.
The Wii. No,
And it was how much water could you drink and not pee? Was this radio station did this?
What? They should have been sued for that.
Well, I'm sure they were, because she died of hyponatremia because she drank and drank and drank and drank and never peed, and so her kidneys couldn't equilibrate her sodium, and she died.
Is that just the British saying? Take a Wii.
No, I think they call wee as like a small people, but they also call it as peeing, I think.
Well, we called it peeing. We
So-
have to take a wee.
So the bottom line, the safest way to consume water is drink when you're thirsty.
Or monitor the color of your urine output and your volume of urine output. So there you go. But you can be hyponatremic and you can't see that in your urine color.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a million other reasons for getting hyponatremic, which we're not going to get into, but they're all medical problems. They're all diagnoses.
well, I think the
You know,
important
where
thing
people
what
have
you're saying.
a fragged hormonal system that causes them not to be able to regulate sodium properly, where they have kidneys that aren't working properly. We're not getting into that, but you can literally drink so much water that you die.
I think the important thing that you're saying really is that people forget that part because it's
And
so
they forget how important salt is.
they push the
Salt
fluids
is really
without the
important.
salt. Now it's cooling off now, but I saw the little ones out there doing the Pop Warner, poor kids with the big helmets and the little bodies out there in the heat playing football. Sports are ramping up, school's back, and it's still very hot many places, and people go hydrate, and they don't remember about
Sodium, and they also don't remember
sodium.
that heat is going to kill you faster than
Yes,
virtually anything.
which we
there.
talked about on our podcast. But so those are important. You need to balance it out. So very good points. So before we jump on to the next exciting topic, Jamie says that her boyfriend has been running a high fever for 2 days now. Very hot, couldn't sleep. Oh, she couldn't sleep next to him. He's stubborn. He won't go to the doctor with underlying conditions of asthma and wheezing. So we can't give medical advice on the show.
We don't.
But sometimes having a fever for a couple days isn't the end of the world. But usually past 48 to 72 hours, probably should get checked if you have an underlying condition with your lungs. That will all be what
We'll do the Dr. Drew thing. You need to see your healthcare professional.
There you go. So we do hope he is not too ill and does get better or gets some help. There you go. Gets checked at least. That's all we can say. But
Yes, 'cause
we
lots
do
of-
see your
lots of
comment,
generically-
and I wanted to acknowledge
Yeah,
that, and
lo-
we appreciate people commenting during.
Well, and
podcast.
lots of viruses can cause asthma exacerbation. So
Yes,
I mean, it isn't just
that
and
was my
it's treatable,
point.
and it's
Mhm.
treatable
Yeah.
illness. We like treatable illness. That's a good thing.
So probably should get checked, boyfriend.
Are we going to the next thing?
Well, I think let's talk about. I find it fascinating that you want to talk about stingrays. Are you trying to freak me out, given the fact that we are going to a land of stingrays?
I am, but
But it's all
first, it's the land of the cool stingrays.
What a beautiful stingray that is.
That is a beautiful stingray.
And what year is that stingray?
That is in 1972, which is interesting. If you look at the, I can't point because it doesn't work that way. If you look at the badge, the stingray badge, which is just above the gills, which is on the right.
So they
front
really
fender.
call it gills on a car.
Mhm.
They call it gills on a Corvette.
Well, they are, yeah, because it's a fish. Just like the Barracuda.
You know what?
Just like the Plymouth Barracuda has gills.
So you take your
It
car
literally
into
has
the
gills.
shop and you say, "I've got a problem
broke
with the gills."
Some asshole drove into me in a parking lot and broke one of the gills.
For real.
Actually, on these cars, they call them egg crates because they look like egg crates. But you'll notice the stingray is spelled correctly in one word.
Stingray, one word.
Because the actual animal is one word. From 1963 until 1967, those original stingrays were two words.
And
Sting.
what's the significance of that? Just an error in jamming the letters
No,
together?
it's just the way Chevrolet decided to do
Oh my
it. And so
gosh.
then they had a gap in 1968, and then from 1969 to 1976 they were stingrays, and then there was no stingrays until 2014, and now there's still stingrays all the way till 2023.
But do they still have gills or have they evolved?
No, they evolved. They now have feet.
What the heck?
No, I just made that
Oh,
up.
I was just like,
I just made that up. So yes, there it is. And then there it is in its natural environment. We will miss the mountains.
beautiful.
But we're trading the mountains for the beach. See, look, but actually this body style, you'll notice, we'll go back. This body style actually is the shark body style.
So it's
Because
not
it
a
looks,
stingray, it's a shark.
well, they call it a stingray, but there was a show car with this body style that they painted like a mako shark. And so this has always been the shark body style because it looks dun, 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 more like a shark than it does a stingray.
Okay, I'm using my imagination. I don't know. If it was gray, maybe. Just saying. So, what has this beautiful car out on the highway? I guess it's got to do with the topic because it is a stingray.
Yes. And speaking of stingrays,
Oh.
Whoopsie
So
daisy.
What we're looking at here
is woman impaled by stingray.
She's lying in a hospital and on her side, and there is a giant stinger in her.
Well, so it's interesting. I'll get to some more pictures on this. So she was swimming in the Tampa Bay, or Tampa Bay, as you would actually call it if you weren't an idiot. And she went to flop backwards to wet her hair because, of course, it's hot as hell in Florida now. And she got stung in the chest, which is very unusual. Usually you get stung in the leg because you step on the stingray and it reflexively
most people would call that their back, not their chest.
Yes, but, well, her lungs are still there, still attached to her thorax.
I'm going to correct you.
So her husband apparently was holding the animal and it was wiggling because they're prone to wiggling. And it was digging the barbs, the stingers, deeper into her chest. And she's like, I'm going to get Steve Irwin here if this wiggling continues. And eventually the sheriffs came and they cut off the tail at the base of the stingray. So interesting. This stingray went back into the water, swam away with no tail, and his buddies call him Bob now.
Get out. They released it?
I don't know. I just made that part up. Because he had no tail, so they named him Bob because he's bobtailed now. He's stinger free. But check this next slide out, kids. There are the juicy barbs impaled in her skin. So, and for people just listening to this, stingray, and you can kind of see it here, there's two stingers that come out of the tail. They fold down in the tail and they pop out when it stings. And they're barbed like a fish hook. So you can't just pull them out.
You can't. You can try, but they won't let you.
You can try.
The person will not let you.
Yes.
So I'm assuming they have to dissect those out with scalpel, just like we do with dumb fish hooks when people come in. So all I can think is
apparently they're not hard to remove. I actually asked a doctor in Florida, and he said they have venom on them too. That's the other bonus feature. So if you put warm water on the stingers, that tends to denature the protein.
No.
You pee on it.
You pee on it.
Right. So, but when a patient comes into the urgent care, I'm not going to pee on their stinger. That would be bad. So warm water will denature the protein and the venom just goes away. So that part's easy. And then you numb it up and just yard them out. And then you give them antibiotics because I
can hardly wait till we get to do a show on this where you've done your first stingray barbed removal.
Extraction.
I'm thinking from now on, I am going to stand on the shore and then get on my hands and knees and like literally swim out into the ocean and not walk.
Well, maybe we could invent this thing that's like a broom that you wear and when you're swimming that like knocks them off.
A broom.
No, but we'd see them all. Like you'd see them all the time kiting in the Pamlico Bay of the Atlantic Ocean in North Carolina, because there's gazillions of them. They just lay on the bottom of the ocean.
People always ask us about, you're moving. That's always you're moving to Florida. What about the gators? What about the bugs? What about the hurricanes? So I'm thinking, gators. I mean, gators
we
are
have
like
water skied.
raccoons around here.
Yeah, we have water skied with gators so much. It's like they're really.
I'm more scared of a
You
cougar.
kind of have to be a knucklehead. And you can get eaten by an alligator, but you kind of have to try.
Because it's, national news when
Right.
tragedy happens with a gator eating. And it's.
Yeah, there's cougars here that happen.
Yes.
And then the bug thing is not an issue. I'm sorry,
I'm
it's
like,
just
what
not.
bugs? Okay.
There's more. I have experienced way more bugs in the Northwest and definitely in Canada than I've ever experienced in Florida. Like by a gazillion
maybe
times.
we're in the wrong part of Florida, but I've yet to find. I had a little. We were there, and I freaked the heck out. We were outside, and all of a sudden, I felt this thing jump onto my leg, and I looked down, and we were by these bushes. So I'm thinking it could be anything like a snake or a. I don't think there's scorpions there, but.
No, there's snakes though.
Things jump out. Anyway, it's on my leg, and I look down, and I just freak and flick it off. Well, it was a cute little grasshopper.
Yes.
That's the only bug I really.
No, we went to an outdoor wedding. We went to an outdoor wedding, and it was beautiful, like 75 degrees out at 10 o'clock at night, with no tent, no screens, just food galore outside, and there was no bugs. We have tried to do that in Oregon, to eat outside with barbecue, and it is a venom fest of wasps trying to kill you.
It's a no-go zone.
It's an absolute no-go zone.
All you do is we had our friends last weekend, and I had the sweet smell of salmon on my hands, and we walked outside to talk on the phone, and I almost got attacked.
No, it was just terrible. Like May used to say, "Okay, you're barbecuing. Let's eat outside." I'm like, why? Now, like, why don't you just take venom and just poke me? Because that's what's going to happen.
Now, we are not going to be in swampland. It might be different. And if you live on a lake or in swampland, there might be more no-see-ums, the little things that just you love to hate and they love to eat you.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that's the case. We'll update you in 10 months. But the other thing about this is, you're saying like we're not in swampland. I don't know. I think kind of the entire state is a swamp.
Well, you know what I mean. It's concrete land now, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they pump the water out of the swamps to make lakes that people live around with golf courses, and then wonder why there's alligators.
We are going to be living in a screened-in oasis, so hopefully we'll be okay.
Correct.
But I'm more worried about the stingrays and the darn snakes that sneak around, and a hurricane, as you know.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about that because where we live, we're not in a floodplain, and there's wind events, there's water events. I mean, there's storms everywhere.
We'll be running to the airport.
But
we've been living plane out of there.
Yeah, we've been living in the fires of hell in the Northwest for the last 5 years. We got evacuated from our house because it's like, well, I don't know, fire.
Yeah.
What's the worst? Water. The wind part can be an issue, but with the building codes nowadays, it's really not that big of a deal. In most cases, the water is the issue. Flooding, there's nothing you can do about that, and that's you don't want flooding.
So, anyway, we've been watching the news closely. Thankfully, our area's been good. Prayers to everybody that's going through it right now, because it doesn't matter. Someone's going to get hit, which really sucks. And
then the problem is now it's a tropical storm, and it's in Georgia, and the issue with that is it may just stall. Like when these stall, sometimes when they're not hurricanes, because hurricane force is based on the amount of wind, and they just become a rain event that sits there and just pours rain. Like that's what screwed Houston before, is you get the storm surge, which is from the wind. That's a problem in the coastal areas. But then you get inland in a place like Georgia, and you can get tremendous flooding because it just parks. And all that energy it's sucked up from the Gulf of Mexico goes someplace, and it goes into massive amounts of rain, which honestly, in a lot of these situations, is far more damaging.
I'm just thinking,
is the rain events.
Yeah. I'm just thinking trench foot now.
Trench foot.
Yeah. Soggy, wet feet.
It's bad.
You're going to have a
lot
of
people in World War I died of trench foot.
He's going to have a lot of new adventures.
They died of trench foot.
Seeing
their feet got cracked, and boots. I am so tangential.
Anyway, you're going to have a lot of adventures, seeing some new things. On the other hand, we'll be abstaining from the clinic. But
will be, yes.
We will,
But
more
it will be
updates to come on where you can find me.
It will be fun.
More updates to come on where you will find me
Well,
rewiring myself.
I'll be
retiring.
I'll be riding Harleys on Christmas. That I can guarantee.
Anyway, what are we drinking tonight?
Oh yes, we need to get to this because this stuff is
we
very, very good.
Emptying our cabinets
very, very good.
because we don't want to pack the whole last 30 years of our life with us across the country. And so we are wine club members to Y Yeast Vineyards. We've shared their wine before. It says 26 on the bottle because this is good until 2026.
It's good until 2026. Right now it's vinegar. No, it's good till 2026, not 1926.
That's what I said, 2026. Good. I corrected myself. And it's Y Yeast's this was the very first wine that I tasted there and bought cases and cases of this vintage many years ago. It's called Tilly Jane. It is the most wonderful white. It's
a Riesling.
It is not sweet. It is perfect all year round.
Mm-hmm.
And Y Yeast Vineyards is in the Columbia River Gorge outside of Hood River.
It is a stunning location where you come just off the gorge. You go towards Parkdale and you sit in this winery and stare at Mount Hood because Mount Hood is just like right there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We like you, Y Yeast.
So
send us free wine.
I love their red. Their Pinot Noir Reserve is blue chip. It's called usually the blue chip Pinot Noir Reserve is my absolute favorite Pinot. Others come very close to it that we've talked about, but Y Yeast Vineyards, we would love you to sponsor us, and I
think we're going to go visit there.
Them to mail my shipment forevermore to Florida as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to go visit them in the next few weeks. We need a couple visits in the Northwest before we drive across the country in a U-Haul, which I am entirely looking forward to because nothing says comfort
like having your bottom side massaged by a U-Haul seat.
Yes.
For 3,600 miles.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
Anyone watch the Beverly Hillbillies?
It's like
that will be us.
It's like your first night in the state penitentiary.
I wouldn't know what that's like. Can you share?
I'm just imagining. I have a vivid imagination. When you have a head this big, it's amazing how. All right. Last but not least topic.
Please move on to the important topic that everyone's freaking out about.
Is how I'm preparing for the new COVID variant.
Oh, shoot, I forgot that you had that beautiful thing that looks like a bell jar on your head. It's a cloche. Did you know that it was called that?
No.
It's called
I had no idea.
Yep. Cloche.
It's a cloche.
A French word for covering.
Oh. So what do they call?
Shut the heck up.
A rubber.
I know where you're going. That's
That's
called the French tickler.
Well, that's totally different.
No.
Completely. This one is okay. I'm the time out. All right. So the new this is a little bit of a promo because we did a episode on Dr. Harvey Rich's show on America Out Loud. He does, I think it's the Thursday or Friday episode on the show called The Pulse. It was awesome. We love Dr. Rich. He is so much fun and he's so smart. It's just like
I think sit there and nod and smile the whole time because I'm like, I feel like I'm in kindergarten.
I think his dandruff is smarter than both of us together. I'm not saying he has dandruff, but if he did, I think it's smarter than, we're like, I'm sitting there listening and asking, and then I just like, you want some gum? Because I don't know what else to say.
I don't say anything. No. So we were on his show and
perhaps
then
a breath mint.
Re-released it. Came out this Monday for you all to listen, and you can see us. Listen to us, So
go back and listen to that if you didn't. It's or listen to it on America Out Loud, but obviously we would prefer if you listen to it on our platform. But it's really, really good, and we get into the next COVID variant, which is, he has all of this stuff memorized and just blathers it out. It's amazing. And, they had the Iris variant, but I think that one's gone and now it's something else. But like I like to say, I like to call the next COVID variant the BS 24.7 variant, because that seems to be where we're going. I can't imagine people are going to tolerate mandates or masking or whatever again. It's like it didn't work the first time. What are you doing now? And, unless you're seeing real obvious mayhem as far as complications and death, these guys have, they chicken littled themselves into the point. They cried wolf to the point where even if it's really bad and potentially really dangerous, no one's going to believe the directives of the 3-letter agencies anymore.
Right. I say that, we wait and see what happens, but honestly, it should be personal choice. If you are immune compromised such that you're worried, you live in fear of catching something, go ahead and do what you need to do to feel comfortable. If you want to wear the mask on the airplane in the crowds, fine, but no judging those who don't want to. It's their choice not to. And I don't know, I think maybe vice versa. If someone's minding their own business and they're wearing the mask, leave them alone. You don't know their medical condition or what's going
that
on.
One's going to be hard to not judge that for me. Sorry.
Well, you know what?
I don't call it the variant. I call it the scariant, the new COVID scariant. Because I want to live in fear all the time. Like, it's a shitty way to live.
Yeah, it is. But what I mean is, you don't know what's going on.
No, that's true.
They might
I don't.
They might have been going through some chemo. They might be, who knows?
Right, but the problem is this. Here's the problem with that argument.
You don't know that it's to protect against COVID. It might be something else.
Exactly, and that's fine. And there's some.
And there might be a false sense of security, but honestly, is it worth it?
Right, and an N95 mask will work for some environmental pollutants. That makes sense, right? Because N95 masks are used way more in industry than they are anywhere else. People forget that. I get that. But if you have, if you're getting chemo, if you're getting all of these things, then putting an N95 mask on and going to Safeway is not going to save you. I mean,
I didn't say it was right information, but at that point,
and I get that. It's like, okay, but if you want to do something that I think is dumb and it's not harmful and it's not harming me and it makes you feel good about yourself and your life, knock yourself out. I don't care. But, hey, I saw a guy in Eugene riding a motorcycle with a mask on and a helmet unbuckled. And I'm like, dude.
He was sure he knew what was the biggest evil, I guess.
Hey, we just did a podcast today with somebody. We just recorded one and it was wonderful, because basically it's like, let's be honest, humans aren't rational.
Yeah.
And I was like, you nailed it.
Got that right.
But we're just rational enough to know that we're a little bit rational and kind of not rational. And that drives everyone crazy, including ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Bigly.
I mean, it's totally it.
Yes.
It's like, why did I do that? That was super self-destructive. And why do I keep doing it? Well, I don't know. Doesn't make sense. I'm going to keep doing it. It's like human behavior 101.
Exactly.
Right?
Anyway, so that's coming down the pike. We will obviously keep you updated with things as they unfold in the medical, scientific community with our opinion. But back to Harvey Rush, the thing that's so wonderful about him is that he is an expert in reading studies. He's an epidemiologist. He is an expert in unraveling, and he teaches how to read studies. And so that is his thing. He loves to read studies, pick them apart. And so he is someone we trust.
Well, yeah, and he's from that community college in Connecticut called Yale.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not a community college.
So
whoopsie. That's
what makes him special, is just his expertise in that. And
doctors, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, and I include myself in this, don't know crap about reading studies.
We had class in it, and it was so boring.
But there's so many ways to screw with them and deceive, and like it's really,
but it's
really
important
tough
for us to know. I was still on my thought train of how boring the classes were on, picking apart studies, and we did all the stats classes as well as the analyzing studies. But it is important because that's where all the research gets published, and we need to know how to analyze that. But there's some people that are much better at it. I mean, obviously, epidemiology should know how to read it. Our son, who's in engineering,
Yeah, but it's more,
knows how to pick apart a
but
study.
the problem with studies is it's way more than p-values and statistics. We take this stuff and we assume that all the stuff that they did to get to the statistical analysis is correct. When in reality, that's the devil in the details, and that's where the bullshit lies.
Right.
Because the math, if you screw with how you select people and how you eliminate people from your study, and like who gets in, who gets out, and what, and all of those things, you can make the math whatever the hell you want by doing that. That's the problem.
Right. If you bias the study by the selection process, then
which
game over.
Right. And all you need to know about every single medical study in modern medicine now is that when it goes to peer review, it's the study that's published by the drug company that goes to peer review. It's not their data. So whoever's peer reviewing a study that goes into a medical journal gets their study, does not get their hard data.
No.
So you can go, well, you deselected all the people that had side effects from this drug based on this exclusion criteria that's total nonsense. So of course it looks good. You don't get that. You get part of that. You don't get all of it, and you don't get the raw numbers. And I never knew that until any of this COVID stuff. And I'm like, you're kidding. Like, there should literally be like, if the FDA is going to do its job, there should be a statistical review board that looks at all of the raw data and goes yes or no to even looking at their study. That's not how it works. So we're going to do a very in-depth analysis, critique of the Netflix series Painkiller. You need to watch it. It's amazing. We're going to blow the lid off of that with our opinions because it's very, very compelling. It's very well made. And, Ferris Bueller's in it. So how do you beat that?
Yes, we are episode 4, I believe.
Yeah, watch it. And then we're going to have an episode in the next few weeks where we go through it because it's incredibly instructive, not just about what happened with opioids, but about what happens with everything in pharma and medicine.
Yes. No, it's done so well. I mean, I've actually, speaking of, we weren't talking about PTSD, but we were talking about it earlier today. Watching that made me have flashbacks to the whole OxyContin thing, and just everything was like being there all over again with the drug reps, the physicians, the belief that we had, the stuffed little blue plushie. Anyway,
I had a Viagra pen that I put in my skydiving logbook. Like, this is how freaking genius these guys are. Okay. And I absolutely shit you not, this Viagra pen folded in half. The shaft of the pen was kind of a tan, Trumpish brown color, and the head of the pen was purple.
Get out.
And you pushed a button, and the pen opened up, and it went. And I would write my skydiving stuff down in my logbook with that pen. And the reason it was there is because all my non-medical skydiving friends lost their minds at how completely ridiculous this was. It was literally the erection pen that they gave you for free to remind you. Well, I can't remember what Viagra does. What the hell?
Wow, that's marketing genius. I don't remember.
I mean, it's long gone now, but I'm sure if I could sell it on eBay now for like $300 because it's so insane.
It got old and it quit working. It dried up.
It needed ink replacement therapy. And spring replacement. Yeah,
there you go.
No, I mean,
wow.
Yeah, so like this stuff, this marketing, we were at the last probably 5 or 10 years of the really good
Yeah,
marketing.
I know.
Where they really bought you. Like literally they
We
would
got
take
lunch. We got lunches and talks.
No, we got
and a
lunches and
few
talks, but
pens and
yeah, but that all went away after about
rulers.
our first 10 years. But our first 10 years of practice, they would take you out to comedy shows and then dinner and drinks.
Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't you get to go on a heli skiing trip?
I went cat skiing.
You did.
Like heli skiing. I went cat skiing.
That's right.
And literally to make
Do you remember what drug it was?
It was that drug that got pulled. That was the drug for IBS that lasted about 20 minutes because it had
made you shit your pants.
No, it had some really bad like other metabolic problems or whatever, and they were pushing it hard because IBS is super common, right? No one ever thinks about, hey, maybe I just radically changed my diet. My
I'll
IBS
think of the name of it in a second.
Yeah,
that's right. I remember that.
I mean, that drug, it lasted maybe 2 years, and it was so blatant. Like, this guy's fun. Like, these guys are fun. Like, I ran into the guy at the mountain years after he quit the drug industry, and it was just crazy because he takes us skiing, and they have to make it legal to write it off and to have it as an business expense so they have to have education. So the night before we go skiing in, cat ski, a heli skiing, basically, they have some guy come in and talk about how great this drug is, another doctor, and they, feed you this nice steak dinner and a bunch of beers. And then you go to sleep, and the next day you get up and you get $1,500 worth of skiing or whatever it cost back then.
Wow.
And
I don't recall me.
And like literally we're in the lodge between runs, and he's like, just remember whatever the name of this drug was. Just remember that. And I remember I was such a jaded.
You don't remember the name of the drug.
No, I don't remember the name of the drug.
Experience.
I do remember the experience. It was 2000, January 1st, 2001, whatever, January, whatever. It was Super Bowl Sunday when the Ravens won.
Yeah, see, that's the savant part of you that remembers that stuff.
And I told him, I said, if you keep taking me, this is how blatant this is, and I confessing my sins. I said, if you keep taking me cat skiing, I'll tattoo that shit on my ass. At least I was honest. I might have written 3 prescriptions for it because it didn't work.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
But why do they advertise like this? Why were they doing this stuff? Because it's freaking effective, man.
Yeah,
like it's unbelievable effective.
It's frightening.
Yeah, well, we have changed. We have become jaded and,
eyes wide open.
Yes.
Yeah. If they offered you that again, a drug company.
Would I take drug companies' money to do cool stuff? 100% I would, because I'm draining the money out of them. And would I prescribe their drug? No, I wouldn't, because I'd have zero guilt about that. Because I'd realize that, yeah, they pay me, like feed me, do whatever you want. Great, I'll take your money. I'm not prescribing your shit. That's their goal. And they would shame you. Like, people understand this. They got drug companies, and they explained it in the TV series. Drug companies get prescribing information of physicians, and they would have the super cute, 31-year-old blonde chick, impeccably dressed, say,
why
aren't you not writing
X
this
instead of ours?
Yeah, why aren't you not writing this?
Yeah, they would.
They would literally, they have a bachelor's degree in marketing, and they would come to a physician with 30 years of experience, and they would know what you prescribed and that you didn't write their drug, and they would say, why are you not writing our drug? And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's like, excuse me, and you are a physician of what specialty? Oh, that's right, marketing specialty and makeup. Like, it was just like, what? I mean, like, you think of it now, you just like, I look back, because those days are gone. Like, I haven't worked in a place that has drug reps or drug lunches or anything for probably 10 years. It's just beautiful. It's gone.
It's more than 10.
It's gone. Like, we just got rid of it. We just finally decided this is completely insane.
I think 15 plus.
But it was just like, it was just wild.
So to that point, check out Painkiller, because we're
watching it. We're going down this rabbit hole again.
Like book club, only movie club on it, and
we should do movie club. BS3MD movie club.
Well, then we have to have everybody watch Dr. Death.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yes.
But that's on, isn't that on Paramount or
I
something?
can't remember, but that's you'll
it's
never
like-
want to
it's
have
like-
back surgery again.
It's like, okay, I need to have 19 billion subscriptions
I know.
plus cable. It's like,
You love it.
well, we saved a bunch of money because we got rid of cable, and we
We
switched.
have a secret.
We switched to.
Well, we can't say it unless they sponsor us.
Yeah, their chances of them sponsoring us is zero. But
Oh,
yeah.
so here we go. Here comes some dirt. There was a doctor locally here that was hell bent on Zoloft when it first came out. Tried prescribing to everyone in the family. Who? You know, the sad thing is a lot of physicians get on the bandwagon when something new comes out, and then they market it like it's just the new magic fairy dust for all your problems.
But it's human behavior, right? It's not rational. It's human behavior. Like we have like a newness bias. So if something's new, like why did they put, they have Tide and it's new improved Tide, so it's better. Well, what did they change? Well, they just put new improved on it. It's the same shit that you're buying before, right? And
thankfully, we were trained by physicians and in a institution that taught us to be very jaded about anything new that wasn't tried, tested, and
well, we had a guy that wouldn't write any prescription that was less than 10 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, if it had not been a decade,
my primary supervisor,
and I looked at him like, "You're freaking."
You. He's like,
I was like, "You're a dinosaur."
Prescribe it. What's the data? What's the long-term data?
Yeah, he's like a dinosaur, and I'm like, "No, he's not a dinosaur. He's a genius."
Yep.
And it's just, like we don't like. There's all this stuff we don't understand in long-term data. Like we don't understand antibiotics. We really do not understand antibiotics. I mean, there was a strain a couple of years ago. There was a strain of gonorrhea that came out in England, or that was entirely insensitive to all antibiotics. You could not kill it. It was like Rambo-rhea.
That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes. You couldn't kill it. They could not kill it.
Rambo-rhea.
Rambo-rhea. It was
Ew.
And so like you sit there and you go, oh crap. Like when are we going to have, staph and strep, which we already do to a certain degree, but where you absolutely can't kill it.
Well, and some people, they have that.
Yes. And the answer is
so much antibiotics that it doesn't
right.
work.
The answer is that antibiotics have changed the world. They've been one of the greatest health innovations in medicine easily, but they're only 80 years old, give or take. So we haven't had even a century of experience. And what happens if you end up making superbugs, killing everybody's microbiome? And then now there's like, there might be in like 200 years from now, there might be infectious diseases that like that's the case, that we actually wiped out humanity by treating disease. We don't know. And that's why, we sit there and we go, well, we have long-term data. How long's your long-term data? 18 months? And you're just like, what? No.
So
how about 200 years?
Yeah. So let's dial it back a little on jumping on the bandwagon on some of these things.
On everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, seriously, like,
yes,
I have completely, I'm evolving my attitude on a lot of this stuff because human biology is so unbelievably complicated. And then the interface of human biology and animal biology and botany, and how all of these viruses and antibiotics and vaccines and all of these interplay, it's unknowably complex. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So people jump on the autism is caused by vaccines thing. Well, maybe, I don't know. It'll never really be studied, but you can't say that because it's never really been studied. On the other hand, every vaccine we have is safe and effective. Well, we don't know. And we don't know what the interplay of 72 shots in 15 years is because it's never been studied and never going to be studied. Like, you just don't know. And then you get censored for saying, we don't know. I'm not making a judgment whether this is good or bad. I'm saying we don't know because it's unknowable when you only have data for 40 or 50 years on things that we like. it's devoid of common sense. That's what drives me nuts. It's like there's no common sense. It's like if mental health drugs work so good and 10% of the population is on SSRIs, how come we have more anxious and depressed people now than we've had 50 years ago? If diabetic drugs work so good and processed food is so amazing, how come there's more fat diabetics now than there was 50 years ago in 1972? When you look at a picture of the beach in 1972 and you go, oh my God, they must have had a bodybuilding modeling contest. No, those were normal people eating steak and eggs and smoking. I'll give you that one. And so it's just like, well, we're worse off with more stuff. Like, what the hell? Something's going on here. I don't have the answer. I'm not going to tell you X is good and Y is bad necessarily, but you got to be able to ask the freaking questions without being censored and without being called a, derogatory anti this or a whatever phobic or
Well, I'm going to cut you off. No censoring. Just going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Put it in a little package.
It's good though. This was good. I needed this ranting.
Good. I'm glad
it was cathartic
on the waves of the internet instead of at me. It's helping our marriage.
Thank you, podcast, for helping my marriage, because I get to be a public a-hole rather than just a private one.
That's right. What else was I going to say? Tomorrow on the podcast coming out, we have a fun episode with a company called Femgevity. Doing direct, I was going to say direct patient. It's an online healthcare business targeted to women and helping combine longevity with female issues and looking at not just hormone balance, but health and wellness.
So you mean like female issues like parallel parking and driving a manual transmission? Does that count too?
Dealing with husbands? I don't know.
Public a-hole, not just private.
Yeah. So talking about disease prevention, screening, health, wellness, and all.
But it's
stuff.
good.
So it's
most of what they talk about too is really applicable to men. And I love how I like how they niched it down into this, health and wellness for women. So diet, exercise, hormone replacement, etc. But I got a lot out of it, and she was a tremendously knowledgeable interview. Yes. Like really fun.
So take a listen to that episode. I think you'll really like it. It's a little different than our other episodes on hormone replacement. It's very all-encompassing. And what else do we have coming up next week? More truth bombs every Wednesday, dropping your way. Yesterday was actually, it would be today. Dress for success. And
if you want to hear me lose my absolute shit over yoga pants,
again,
you've come to the right place.
That's all I will say. And as always, newsletter, sign up where you
please sign up.
Extra information, my musings and writings, and occasionally Tim's with some personal photos and thoughts that we share. Comes out usually Mondays. You could sign up on our website, bsfreemd.com/truth serum. And we love hearing your comments. We have fans that write back about the newsletter, the podcasts, and message us on all our socials.
I need more Riesling.
It makes life so much more fun when you interact with us. So we appreciate you all. We're here because of you. And other than that, can't wait to see you next time.
Bye-bye.